webinar. And at any time, just leave a message if you have any questions. The way that we're going to be structuring this is we're going to start with a 15-minute presentation talking through Google Analytics 4 and the benefits, the differences, how to get things in order as soon as possible. Then we're going to get into a working session where we're going to talk a little bit about how I can help you. If other folks join in during this, that's great. That's cool. Just add in chats. Feel free to. Alrighty, let's get into the presentation. I hope all of you guys can see my screen. So here's our agenda for today. First, we're going to talk about who I am and who we are. Then we're going to talk about why they're ending Universal Analytics. From there, we'll cover what is GA4, how do we prepare, what's possible. Then I'll open it up for a working session with you folks, and then a Q&A and next steps. Hi, Shane. Welcome. It's a small team right now. There are more folks. We have about 22 people that registered for the event. Usually we get about half, but maybe it's because the time people are implementing. But it's okay. Let's get rolling. So first, who the heck am I? I'm the founder of Zen Anchor Digital, the CEO of digital marketing agency. It's been around since 2015. We work with clients such as Avis Budget Group, Guardian Insurance, AARP, AJ Gallagher, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. We work with both small businesses, startups, and a few of these Fortune 500s. My background is primarily in web development and in SEO. I've done a lot in Google Analytics, though, probably since about 2010 now. So, back in the earliest stages of setting up websites. Today, I'm Google Analytics 4 certified. I manage our Zen Anchor agency, which is a Google Premium partnered shop. And obviously, I'm an avid Googler outside of work. A lot of the sailing analogies that you're going to see are because I'm a sailor. So I'm based in Chicago, and we sail. Now, let's talk a little bit about Analytics Mates. The way that Analytics Mates was born was last year. We had to move all of our clients over to Google Analytics 4 because we were aware of this upcoming change. Our internal team started to do this, and then we realized it's a completely different system. There are major challenges to it. So what I did was I went to the Google Analytics 360 team. If you guys are aware, higher paying media buyers and major websites can pay for Google support. I know this is recorded. I don't think it's illegal. Basically poached one of the people from the Google Analytics 360 team, one of the leads. His name is Ken Van Dung, and I asked him to help implement all of our clients over to GA4. While doing so, I realized this could be its own business. It could be its own service for others. And so that's how Analytics Mates came about. Really, thanks to Ken coming from the former Google team, Laura, our project manager, and some of our additional analytics support team members. So let's get into it. Why are they ending UA? You guys can ask questions at any time during this. We're going to get into more of a workshop in a moment, but if there are any questions, feel free to chime in. First, why are they ending UA? There's an official reason why. The official reason is that it's a deprecated platform. Universal Analytics was originally built after acquiring a business called Urchin back in 2005. Urchin is how those UTM parameters, which some of you may be familiar with, come about. It's called the Urchin tracking. I forget what the M stands for, tracking mechanism. And so when you add UTM parameters to some of your ads, that is legacy stuff from 2005, from pre-Google even. And so this is just a really antiquated system, which is why they wanted to update to a new platform for Google Analytics 4. And it's ending immediately. I took this screenshot today because you need to switch over to the new platform ASAP by July 1st. Now, here's my opinion as to why they're ending Google Analytics 4. This is not the official documentation. Again, this is being recorded. I've been on record publicly sharing this. But there's three reasons. First, cookie tracking is over. between GDPR, some of the regulatory changes also in the state of California, there are limitations, oh, and also on Apple devices, on the MacBook or on your iPhone, where they're emphasizing privacy. There are limitations on cookie tracking. Universal Analytics was super reliant on cookie tracking, and so they had to move away. They were getting, their hand was being forced. The second is digital customer journeys have changed. UA was originally designed for the web. It's for websites. People are going to interact with your brand, with your business, not just through your website, but through your mobile application, through your mobile web, through a variety of things, through tablet. This new platform is designed to track across different channels. The third is, the cookie thing is a technical issue. The privacy thing, though, privacy is important, and Google's taking it seriously. We want to protect the PII of any of our users and prospects that are visiting the site. And so Google is making an honest effort trying to limit, some of the tracking that it's doing on any of the personal information it may be collecting, which Universal Analytics was a little bit more susceptible to capturing things like email contact information, for example. So they're focusing on cookies being over, cross-channel tracking, and making sure that they're prioritizing privacy for any of their users. So let's talk about GA4 now. We talked about this. July 1st, 2023, we need to make the merger. The way that GA4 processes data is pretty significantly different than UA. I do want to call out that there are auto migrations that are available to you. I recommend using the auto migration. You should set it up. That's at the bare minimum. You should have just the base level of having the auto migration in place so that Google sets it up for you. The problem is, though, you need to make some customizations, which we're going to cover on call after you complete that migration or the auto migration from them. So why do we think Google Analytics 4 is better? Why do I prefer it actually over UA? I've learned to love it, even though a lot of digital marketers hate it. The first is it allows us to measure across different devices and channels. The second is it's allowing us to get better insights to those individuals by leveraging things such as AI and machine learning to give us more information about the type of prospects that are visiting our website, which gets us into building predictive models so that we can better understand their behavior. And the fourth and the biggest reason for our agency, ZenAnchor, you may have a different perspective dependent on what type of business you're engaged in. But for us, we are a media buyer. We are a Google partnered agency. And the GA4 integrations with Google Ads and Google Display and Video are more significant. It allows us to do funnel tracking, funnel retargeting in a more sophisticated way than what UA historically allowed you to do. Some of the other benefits, just to get into more detail here. It's scalable. It allows us to export our data into a platform called BigQuery, so we don't lose any data. It's updated more frequently. Like I mentioned, Urchin was acquired back in 2005. GA4, it's pretty rough right now, but they're updating it regularly. They are updating it on a near daily basis. We actually have an alert on our Twitter, twitter.com/analyticsmates, for every time they make a change to their support page with any modifications. We needed it for internal reasons. We decided to offer it on our Twitter as well. So every time we see any change, there's a notification that goes out via Twitter. I think it's important to know that they're providing more support, Google themselves, so they're going to be constantly improving this platform. Third, the machine learning aspect, which I touched upon, the clearer insights. I think it's a little rough on the standard reporting, but I think in the long term, it's going to benefit us. Fifth is customizable. You can add much more significant reporting. You're not locked into standard reporting. And sixth is what are now called audience streams. Those audience streams allow you to do that funnel level tracking that I was describing earlier. One thing I want to call out too is that with this new form of data tracking with GA4 there and this BigQuery integration, it allows us to submit more significant data to other types of models. and into your CRM. You're now no longer limited to those UTM parameters that you were tracking within Universal Analytics. There's more data that you can play with and integrate into your platforms. Let's get into the differences here. First, users. One of the most common. How many people visit my website? In Universal Analytics, the metric represented how many people visited my website, how many users came to my website. However, GA4 does not directly represent that any longer. And feel free to raise your hand if you guys have any questions. What matters here is they are no longer tracking by cookies. So if you load up the web page, they're now tracking by events. An event is defined by taking any sort of action. So after the site is loaded, there needs to be a scroll, there needs to be a click, any sort of action that the user takes, we then account as a user. So there can be things such as first open or first visit, which you can load up into the account. But the general idea here is we are no longer tracking users in this traditional cookie-based, browser-based way. We base it off of taking some sort of action. Here's another way to visualize this. I love this from another deck that we put together. On the left is Universal Analytics. One user can have multiple sessions, and then they interact and commit different types of hits or events. Now it's one user, and it immediately gets into the types of events or tracking or hits that were originally tracked via UA. This is a little bit better because it allows us to see a user across a longer time period, which we'll talk about in a moment. Like, because they could be taking actions for a 30-day period as opposed to one user with multiple sessions. Another way to look at this on how tracking differentiates cross-platform. In the past, it was just a cookie ID based off of your browser. You would lose some information if they had any of those privacy tools in place. Now GA4 is designed to look at anyone with a Google account across multiple platforms. So if they are on their phone, if they are on their website, if they are using a Google Voice device or a tablet, it does its best to see how often it's interacting with your site or with your app. Another big change, which is important to any marketer that may be on this call, is there was a limitation on goals in Universal Analytics. A goal is the purpose of your website. For example, analyticsmates.com, a goal may be how many people signed up. Let's get people to sign up for a free consultation. A goal for an e-commerce site is add to cart, how many people purchased. There were always caps on this in UA. There was 20 that you can add in total. Now there's something new called conversions. And conversions, same thing, I'm using the marketing language. They're a little more precise, don't call them goals. They are any sort of converting action that you take on the site. Now you can track up to 30. Another big difference is Google Universal Analytics had a lot of predefined reports. Now you have to make custom reports on your own. So we're going to go through that in a moment. So let's talk about how to get set up. Does everybody have GA4 here? Billy, Shane, on C's Mare. Does anybody have GA4 already set up and that's where you're joining? Or let me see. You could jump in the chat. Silence. All right. First phase is going to be the discovery phase. You first have to identify what are your main website conversions. If it's a SaaS website, we're talking about how many demos get started, how many free trials are started, and then ultimately how many purchases. If it is a website like ours designed for lead gen, like Analytics Mates, it's how many people book an appointment, how many people submit for a free white paper, and how many people enter into our email series. If it's an e-commerce site, that's the easiest, even though it gets the most complex. It's probably the simplest. We want to know how many purchases we get, how many people add to cart, how much revenue is coming from your site. So you want to track this and review what you currently have set up in Universal Analytics. The second is you want to start to plan things out. You want to determine what are your priority events based off what I was describing. There could be secondary events. For example, how many people click on this specific promotion or coupon code? You may want to have that documented as well. We found at Analytics Mates that many clients we work with, they wanted to completely blow up their old Universal Analytics. They no longer wanted to use that conversion data and they wanted to start from the ground up. And so that made things a little bit easier for us. However, if you have a lot of legacy data in UA, things may be a bit different for you because you'll want to review those goals and you'll want to download them and you'll want to organize it because this is a good time to start cleaning things up, getting things a little more structured into that conversion and those funnel paths that we're going to be covering. Next, phase 3, implementation. So GA4, what I recommend is installing it through Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager allows you to install things such as Facebook pixel tracking, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn. Many of you may be familiar with Google Tag Manager. I recommend using Google Tag Manager for the implementation because it allows you to add in custom events as well. You also are going to want to create things such as custom dimensions, set up old filters. For example, how many filters by source, by campaign. Source and campaign could represent your Facebook ads campaign. It could represent organic search or email marketing. It allows you to filter by the channel that drove the traffic to your site. Phase 4, then you want to test things out. There's a debug window within GA4. You'll want to see if your events and the data that was implemented earlier, like the primary conversion events and the secondary events, are coming through within the debug immediately. Phase 5, just doing ongoing reporting. I'm going to share some templates with you. Now you want to review the data, make some optimizations, and modify it. Make it, improve it, make it what you want it to be. Let's talk about what's possible. So here is an example of one of our Looker Studio reports. The link is going to be in the PowerPoint as well. That allows us to look at the total amount of users and appointments. This is our analyticsmates.com site. I look at this almost every day. This is a monthly or year-to-date report so that we can see how much traffic is coming to the site and how our conversion rate is trending overall. Everything you see here is just through GA4. In addition to that, there are new ways for us to evaluate our funnel. How many people came to the site? How many people viewed a product? If this is an e-commerce, this is one of our e-commerce clients. How many people add to cart, checkout, and purchase? And we can then evaluate the drop-off as well. The visualizations that you're seeing here are built within Looker Studio. They're free. I'm sending them over to you. They're in the calendar invite. You can just clone them. Another thing is, if you need help with implementing them, there's a video on analyticsmates.com/resources on how to connect your data to them. Or just email me. I have a series of other dashboards that I recommend. The ones that are found up here in the top 5 are the ones that I made, however, or our team made. We're not limiting that to just our work. Here are some of our favorites that we found on the internet. All of them you can use and you can clone and make into your own. Let me show you guys a real example of this right now. Here we go. So one of the ways in which we may want to use this report, let me zoom in a little, is I want to see how many appointments are coming from a specific source. For example, we may want to look at Google traffic only. This allows us to see that we've generated 78 appointments when we only look at Google. What's common also is for us to look and filter by device. I think we actually have some good traffic coming from mobile. Yeah, the majority of our traffic is coming from mobile. These two filters you could customize under the edit section within this dashboard. This dashboard also allows us to look at the top acquisition channels that are driving those leads and those conversions. So the top users by source, direct, organic social, and organic search are literally 90% of my traffic right now. You can see my conversions are mostly coming from Google organic. So it's a strong SEO play. We have also a demographic report and a landing page report. So I encourage you guys to check this out. Let's get into analytics directly. So I'm going to get directly into the account now. I want to pause. Does anybody have any questions? No questions. All right. Cool. So here's our instance of GA4. We have 700 users coming to the site this month, 694. This view, this is the first view. This is customizable. We can start to drag and drop and add in all of our own elements to this page. We could also look at things such as the demographic reports directly under the insights using their AI tool. You know, the majority of visitors coming to our site are speaking English. They are guesstimating this. This is your default view when you load things up. Where you're going to be spending most of your time, though, is actually going to be under the reports section on the left. What I recommend focusing on is going to be the acquisition channel. Under acquisition, we'll be able to see where users are coming from versus where sessions are coming from. Our top channels right now are paid search, direct, organic, social. We can see the overall traffic volume that's coming from here, but I want to show you guys some additional ways to look at conversion data. So found actually under engagement conversions. And now we're going to sort by first user source. And we've had 8 conversions this month through our site. Out of those 8 conversions, 2 were from direct visits, 2 were from our landing page, 2 were from Google, 1 from LinkedIn, and 1 was a direct sign up. So a lot of your time is likely going to be spent under this acquisition overview section, along with this conversion page. There's a lot of benefits to looking at the initial place where they started, which is what first user source is. But if you want to do apples to apples compared to the previous setup, you can look at what is called session source. Session source will be based off of not the first time they visited, but the last time they visited your site. Now, there's a lot in alignment here. There's no major issue or differences. But if you wanted to compare directly to Universal Analytics, you're wanting to look at sessions rather than users. In addition to that, there are a lot of ways to integrate your advertising campaigns directly through Google Ads with these channels so that you can see how individuals are interacting with your paid search versus your additional marketing channels. And so I can see here that the majority, the early touch points are coming from referral traffic and organic social, but the late touch points, meaning the last things they do before they convert those 8 conversions, are coming through either direct or paid search. So these are great channels to get people to visit my site. These are great channels to close them. This is a really powerful tool. It is also customizable, and it will also allow you to set up retargeting audiences by each stage of those touch points. All right. I want to open this up if anybody has any questions before we get into the next steps. Are there any specific questions you guys have about GA4 and your implementation? I hope that you're already set up. If you're not, like I said, set up the auto migration, review the events, review the conversions, go through the presentation, the deck, and the actions that we do. And I think it'll help give you a framework so that your new setup will be as strong as possible. But let me open this up. Let's see. All silence. No cues. All right. All right. That's okay. Let's get back into the presentation though. So I'm going to share these Data Studio reports with y'all. All of the links, again, some of them are in the email. I'll send the PowerPoint over. I want to tell you guys a little bit about who we are and what we do. Like I said, I mentioned ZenAnchor. We are a Google partner and a Facebook partnered agency, primarily on SEO and Facebook advertising. We built Analytics Mates for ourselves, and now we're offering it to everyone. Here are some of the clients that we work with. We actually just closed Walter E. Smith this week, helping them set up their GA4. We also just closed another account today. Things have been a little wild as we're getting closer to the deadline. What we offer at Analytics Mates is instant access to GA4 certified specialists. So if you need any sort of custom reporting or event tracking or Google Tag Management setup, we can provide that for you by you submitting just a request via email where we open a ticket and then we follow up and have it implemented, usually within 24 hours, in some cases 2 business days. Folks that we've worked with have been pretty happy with us. We actually have a perfect rating on Clutch. I'll send this link as well. And for us, we start at only $999 per month. We are offering this at a much lower rate than our normal digital marketing services because we are able to implement Analytics Mates and Google Analytics 4 asynchronously. We do this primarily through email. And so once we have an NDA in place, we get access to the account, we can get the ball rolling. We can implement the reports, you get the events in place, and then we start sending out weekly reports. Those weekly emails, they look kind of like this. This was from 3 days ago just for us. And so what we do is we link to one of the dashboards that I'd shown earlier. We talk about, hey, here are the things that we are learning from the analytics reporting. You know, we received 2 new emails, signups, 3 consultation clicks, 1 new blog view. We had a total of 48 visitors, and we were giving insights as to what channels are performing well and which pages are performing best for us. We also included in a PDF report. This is a pretty low volume, but we work with other accounts that are dealing with hundreds of thousands of visitors a week. And so, yeah, we provide those weekly insights and give you recommendations on how you can improve your site. But that's about it. I'd love to help anybody else out. You could email me directly if you need any support. But yeah, were there any questions? All right, cool. I think we're gonna wrap. I'm gonna send the recording as well. Let me stop this recording now. We'll go from there. Alrighty.